All right. Says I'm live. If you guys can hear me, please let me know and we will get this started. I see there's about 100 people waiting. A lot of people in the chat so far. Let everybody roll in and should be a pretty fun race day. I'm very excited for this. Looks like it's going to be basically a super speedway hybrid mixed with an intermediate track. So looking like it's going to be a pretty fun time. So let me know you can hear me. Everything's clear and we will get this going. What's up, family man? What's up, Mike? What's up, other Mike? See you guys in the chat already talking it up. See, got my man Spread here. What it is, Spread. Looking forward to a fantastic race today. Should be a fun time. And I definitely think there's many ways we can go on this slate. It should be pretty wide open. There's definitely some pretty heavy chalk too. Loud and clear. What's up, John? What's up, Brian? My man Heat fan in the Discord. What's up? Saying F1. All right. Let's see. Other Chris says, what's up, Chris? Into the chat. Good luck this week. Give the man a like. Yeah, if you're just now getting here, leaving a like on the video. It does help me out. Hopefully we can get over 100 likes in the stream. And for everybody that is just now getting here, if you guys want to join the DraftKings contest, I think there's around 100 people in there right now. Hit the link in the pinned comment. I think it's blue. At least it's blue on my screen. But I think there's a link there to take you to my Twitter. And then you can join the DraftKings contest. It's the most recent tweet I have besides me going live. So again, it doesn't have to fill to 200, but the more we get in, the bigger the prize is. So it's beneficial to everybody if we get more people in there. Top 5 payout. Let's see. Lovely girlfriends here. Good morning, good morning. Mom's here as well. Can you hear me? Appreciate it, Mom. Glad you're here. What's up, guys? I don't know if anyone played any F1. I threw in a free lineup. I have no idea who I played. I forget, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But hopefully there's no F1 questions in here because I have no idea what I'm. The only thing I know is Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen are the best 2 drivers, I believe. I think that's pretty much all I know. Let's see. Gilbert says, this is going to be crazy. Yeah, it sure is. It's kind of hard building lineups and projecting the race because you're not exactly sure how it's going to play out. Like, is a guy like Blaney going to be able to hold the lead for half the race up front? Or is he going to get shuffled out and we're going to see just a bunch of leaders like at Daytona? It's going to be interesting because, you know, we're playing this like a super speedway basically, but we also have 325 laps, which is way more than we normally see at Daytona. Fast laps are still going to be spread out, so denominator points aren't going to rack up as easily for a guy leading laps, but it's definitely something to consider that does make it different. FE says, should we fade Mercedes today? I have no idea. I couldn't tell you who's even on Mercedes for F1. Pat says, good morning all. Doesn't this race feel more like anyone's guess than usual? It sure does. I think we can make educated guesses. I know I was looking at the optimal lineups for the Xfinity and Trucks race yesterday. I was actually watching some of the Xfinity race. Not something I normally do, but it looked like both optimal lineups were basically Daytona-ish, where it was all PD. There might have been a driver or two starting inside the top 15, but for the most part, looks like you're playing lineups based on Daytona. I believe Ty Gibbs won the race, only had several fast laps, so I removed fast laps from my projections, and I think that's probably the best way to go about it today. Because again, you can't project them. Dustin says, I wish every race was a super speedway. That would be fun. I get pretty happy when we have like a super speedway type of race because for me they're easy to talk about because I just, you know, you have the strategy down and tournaments, cash games as far as that goes. It's gonna be a pretty chalky weekend, I think, on both sides. FanDuel's got a very easy lineup to build. I'd be very shocked if like 20% of my single entry doesn't have it, but in DraftKings, I think there's a pretty easy lineup to land on too if you're playing cash games. But I'm pretty excited about today. Should be fun, and hopefully it's a good time. Hopefully all my guys rack out. Family Man says, yes, this race is going to be insane. It certainly should be. Hopefully it's not a snoozer where we just have a big choo-choo train for 90% of the race. Very well could happen, but I mean, it's not like we'd expect anything too amazing from normal Atlanta anyway. So it should be an upgrade for sure. Family Man says there'll be some drivers starting the back that will end in the back. Yeah, for sure. Certainly going to be the case there. Got to keep that in mind when building lineups, I think. FB says, well, look at you, Spready. You have the wrench. Yeah, I gave Spread the wrench today. I figured he deserved it. John says, clearly. Viral says, what to expect today? That's a great question. My assumption is we are going to see a place differential race with obviously some finishing position mixed in, but I mean, that's an educated guess. It could end up turning into just complete wreckfest, mile and a half super speedway, or it could play out pretty clean. Maybe I think for the most part we're gonna see it pretty clean, but then towards the end, you know, when we're getting to like 10 laps to go, that might get really racy. We might see a big one, we might not. But I still think either way it'll be mainly a place differential race. Not to say you should ignore the guy starting up front. I'm still gonna play like at least 20% Ryan Blaney. I'm gonna play around 20% Joey Logano. But like if it was normal Daytona, I'm playing like 10% max of these guys. So I'm upgrading them a little bit because it's going to be a bit of a hybrid, but I'm still pretty heavy on guys in the back. Eric says, Chris the GOAT. Appreciate it, Eric. Easy says the audio is good. Good to hear. Good to hear. Loud and clear, sir. Dustin says the DK contest link, it's in the pinned comment. If you can't see it, let me know. I can see it on my screen, but I'm not sure if it's different on your guys's because since I'm the host. Mike says, I don't feel safe playing too many of the back markers just because we still don't know what to expect. I am playing mostly mid-teens. Yeah, my cash lineup does not have any of the back markers. My cash lineup is basically all in the 20s, I believe. Like, everyone's playing Truex in cash. Everyone's playing Keselowski. Everyone's playing Bell. Everyone's playing Stenhouse. I think the most people are playing Kyle Larson. And at that point, you're just kind of picking your shots between guys in the 6K and 5K range, which you're just taking the PD guy. So it's pretty easy to land on a cash lineup this weekend. Now you can make like a pivot. I think a lot of people are going Michael McDowell down low. I mean, he's great at Daytona and it's decently comparable track. Harrison Burton's there starting in 31st. So it's once you get like the big PD plays up top, I mean, just kind of landing on one of these scrubs is I think what the majority of the people are going to do. I hate to give out a cash lineup, but I think it's very obvious this weekend where people are going to go. What's up, Steven? Lincoln Hawk says, good morning, guys. Good morning, Lincoln. I think we're still, 11:40. It's still morning. FE says the F1 race is great. Yeah, we'll not be watching any F1. It's just at a bad time. If it was on like a 1 a.m., I might turn it on. Which I believe they are on at weird times sometimes. What's up, Luis? Chase says, Chris, you see my wins the last 24 hours on Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter much. I will look though. It might be in my notifications, but I will certainly look. But assuming you did win, congratulations. That's awesome. Love to see that. Let's see. Blake says, morning, Chris. What's up, Blake? Usually have a lineup by now, but with questions in mind. But I'll be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing this week. Yeah, so if you're playing cash games, I mainly stick to place differential. If you are playing tournaments, I'm still mainly sticking with place differential, but I don't mind taking some shots of guys starting inside the top 10. Like, I like Joey Logano today quite a bit. I like Ryan Blaney. I like Chase Elliott. I say those are my three favorite up front drivers, with Blaney and Logano starting pretty much right beside each other. Blaney in the front row. Logano will be right behind him in no time. I could see Joey pushing Blaney at the start, and then you're seeing, not the very start of the race, but pretty much in the beginning, and then Blaney's taking off lap sled for the majority of stage one. I believe we're having a competition caution on lap 45, but I could see the two Penske cars, Blaney and Logano, picking up lap sled for the majority of the race if they can stay up front. Family Man says, I'll stop cussing now. Time Talk says, is 29% too much randomness? No, that's fine. I was playing around with 20 to 30% in projections. I don't want to make them too random because my projections are pretty conservative as it is this weekend, because I have like everybody within like 25 to 45 points, and I have like 10 guys around 30 points, just because you have to make them conservative, because you can't just say, oh, Blaney's leading 200 laps today, so I have him projected 70 points. Meanwhile, he leads 30 and finishes 15th. Like, you got to be conservative this weekend, so I think that's a fine amount of randomness. Chris says, favorite cash locks besides Stenhouse, LaJoy, Bubba, and Jones. Well, I would say Stenhouse is really the only cash lock of those four guys, but I think I already mentioned them earlier, so I probably answered your question. But for anyone just now getting here, I love Christopher Bell, I love Stenhouse, I love Truex and cash, and just basically the PD guys that stand. It's pretty obvious, to be honest. Like, I'm looking at my spreadsheet right now. I know you guys can't see it on the screen, but you have Larson 21st, Truex 26, Keselowski 24, Bell 20. Like, it just sticks up right out to you. And they're gonna be pretty high owned today. What's up, Bull? What's up? Nice to have you here. Liking the logo on there as well. I just noticed that. Philip says, it's tough. You mean lineups this weekend? Yeah, it's hard to know what's gonna happen. I think I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen. I think the best thing you can do this weekend is trying to figure out what the field thinks is going to happen and then leverage your lineups off of that. So that's why I've been just heavily relying on ownership projections this weekend. Because no one knows what's going to happen, but if you can try to figure out what the field thinks is going to happen, then you can leverage it based off of that of what you think happens, if that makes sense. Mike says, I wouldn't play LaJoy in cash. He's cash viable, but from the experience in my lineups I'm building, just hand building for cash, I don't have to go that low. Like Mcdowell, Burton's the lowest I've had to go. Unless you're just trying to jam in double studs up top, but I really haven't been going that route. Notorious says, I think that's how you say it, should we treat today's race like Daytona Talladega and start everyone in the back in cash? So I am treating it as a hybrid Daytona, because if it's Daytona, I am playing Reagan in cash, Gregson, like all these scrubs in the back, but I'm viewing it more as a hybrid, so I'm not going completely stack the back. So I'm kind of sticking to these guys in the mid-20s that have top 10 potential, like Bell, like Truex, like Keselowski, which I know Keselowski's been terrible this year, but at plate races, he's obviously been very good. Got a dono from my man Spread to play Bubba or not to play Bubba. That's the question. Thank you for the dono, Spread. I appreciate it every single week. But yeah, I like Bubba a lot in tournaments. He's a very solid play. He actually has 4 top 5s the past 10 races at plate races. He finished second at Daytona earlier in the season. I know it's never fun playing Bubba, but he really stands out as a good tournament play for me. And he's going to have about half the ownership as Ricky Stenhouse. And I mean, I'd feel more comfortable about Bubba getting a better finish than Stenhouse. And obviously Stenhouse kind of always be in line to get into some trouble. So I like Bubba a lot in tournaments. Wouldn't go there in cash games, but I mean, his odds in Vegas to win this race are plus 2,000, which is on par with guys like Austin Cindric, not too far off at Chase Briscoe, Kurt Busch, Keselowski, and he's only $7,300 on DraftKings, so I can definitely get behind some Bubba in tournaments. Not cash games, though. Stenhouse or Wallace? That's funny, I kind of just talked about that. So if it's cash games, I'm going Stenhouse. If it's tournaments, I'm going by Wallace. It's basically as simple as that. But my chat went down. Hold on. Sorry if I missed something. Mike says, Chris, most of my lineups kind of focus on the teens and early 20s in case the race seems semi-normal thoughts. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm pretty heavy on that. Like, yeah, I have exposure to guys like Harrison Burton, Noah Gragson, David Reagan, LaJoy. Not so much Biffle and Bilicki. I have a little bit, but I'm kind of on the same thought process as you. I don't want to go too crazy on guys in the back, but I'm still like mainly focused on guys in the back. Bauer says, Josh Bilicki for all the money. I don't know about all the money, but I don't think he's a terrible play. He showed he could stay on pace in practice at least. I know he was at 24th in the 1 lap, 13th in the 10 lap. I don't care about practice, to be honest, but at least he was able to stay in the pack, I guess. MG says, what up, C-Pen? I assume that's Mass again on the wrong YouTube account, but what's up, Mass? Easy says, Mama Pennell in the house. Let's go, Joey. Yeah, she is here, and she is definitely a fan of Joey Logano. He let us down last week, though. He let us down, but I'm going to give him another shot. Paper says, let's eat, fellas. Let's do it. Let's do it. Should be a fun day today. James says, I'm glad every race isn't a super speedway. People are pretty hit or miss on if they like super speedways or not. I know some people love them. I personally absolutely love them. They can be pretty unpredictable, but some people love them, and I am definitely one of those people. Sam says, thoughts on Denny Hamlin outright at plus 1,200. If this is going to play out like a plate race, Denny Hamlin is definitely a pretty decent bet because we know he's one of the absolute best drivers in the field at these, right up there with Ryan Blaney the past several seasons. So I wouldn't hate taking the shot at that. But it's, you know, it's just tough to bet on this race outright because we're not exactly sure what we're going to see. Dustin says, top 2 tourney plays. I really like Austin Cindric today. $7,800, pretty expensive on Fanduel at $9K, but I don't think price matters too much over there. But he's starting 16th, won the Daytona 500. If you like the Penske guys, you got to like Cindric because you have to assume he's going to team up with them at some point. And starting 16th, he's kind of in that spot where not a lot of people are going to click on his name because you have Christopher Bell right below him starting in 27th. That's a pretty heavy chalk play. You got Brett Keselowski in the mid-range. You have Ricky Stenhouse. So really hoping Cindric goes under the radar, but he can easily be a top 5 car and be a potential race winner. So I'm liking Cindric a lot in tournaments, and then Bubba Wallace, already talked about as well. You could throw in Austin Dillon there too, just another guy people are going to kind of skip over a little bit, even though he's got decent upside here at a super kind of a super speedway, I guess. Time says, take a shot for every time he drinks his water. You guys would be dead if you did that. You would be dead. Robert says, is the chalky lineup Keselowski, Bell, Truex, Larson, Stenhouse, Jones? Does that fit? Oh yeah, it does fit. So I think you're pretty close. I think a lot of people might go a little bit further down with like a McDowell or Harrison Burton, but Jones is right there too. And honestly, I could see you going with either one. Like, just filling the rest of that lineup out. If you throw in Jones, that's fine. If you throw in McDowell, Burton, they're kind of just basically coin flips there. You get more PD with McDowell, but Jones, I'd say, has maybe a little bit more finishing position upside. Very good plate racer, but it could go either way. What's up, Galvin? Doing well. How about you? Let's get this paper today. Best of luck to you and all. Yeah, appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck today. We're going to need it. We are going to need it. Anyone that tells you they know what's going to happen today is lying to you, but we can make educated guesses. We can try to figure out what the field is going to do, and we can try to leverage our lineups in that order. My sister wants to know, I know he's trolling, but my sister wants to know if you're single. She only has one eye, but don't worry, she wears her eye patch. Her name is Charlie. Things you see on YouTube. Smash the thumbs up button. Yeah, appreciate that. Leaving a like does help me out quite a bit. And again, if you're just now getting here, if you want to join the DraftKings contest, either go to my Twitter, Pennell16, I think it's like the second to most recent tweet. Click the link, or you can use the pinned comment in the chat. I think it's at the top. More people, the better. Or I think Spread's dropping the link in there as well. Eric says, sick of playing it safe and still losing money. Should I take a stance on Briscoe or someone else? I mean, what's your stance on Briscoe? Fading him, or are you playing him? I have nothing really against Briscoe. I'm playing around 10% today. My leverage spots are just the tournament guys I've been talking about. So I'm not sure I want to take a stance on Briscoe at a plate race starting first. Might rather go somewhere else. Chase says bet 150 on college and MLB, won 503. Oh, awesome, Chase. Awesome. Hopefully you keep it up. No chance I'm ever playing MLB spring trading. Dustin says Larson, Bell, Keselowski, Truex, Stenhouse, and LaJoie in cash. Yeah, I think that's fine. Basically the 5 guys I talked about, then you're just picking the one guy at the end. So yeah, I'm fine with LaJoie in cash. Just getting a nice PD guy at the end is certainly the best way to go. Let's see. Jay says Christopher Bell. Yep, certainly like Christopher Bell today, starting 27. It's just hard not to like him at that price point. I expect him to be very chalky, but he's definitely in a good position to be in the optimal lineup. Pat says, your thoughts on Reagan and Gregson, and where do they fall in ownership? I like both today, just as kind of PD plays at the end. Not getting to either in cash games. Gregson's kind of a fringe cash play for me. Could certainly, I mean, starting in the 16-car colleague, they certainly have upside at super speedways. As far as their ownership, Gregson's going to be decently high. I'm expecting over 20% ownership on him. Don't think we're going to see quite 30%, but I do expect him to be around the 20s. As far as David Reagan, you're probably going to be around half that. Starting in 35th, hard not to like him either. Stuck in the optimal lineup at Daytona, $5,400. Pretty solid plate racer, has an average finish inside the top 30. I want to say it's around 20th. Super Speedways the past 4 races. Yeah, 19.5 for him. Not expecting a ton of carnage, but if there is, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he could gain 15 spots today. Edwin says, what's up, CP? What's up, Edwin? How many dominators today? Single entry, good. So I am not really playing anybody as a dominator. Like, if I had to call them dominators, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott are the 3. I mean, obviously Chase Briscoe is on the pole, and he could certainly lead some laps early on, but I'm a little bit more confident in Blaney, Logano, and Chase Elliott leading laps, but I'm not really using dominators today in my lineups. Derek says, who am I over the field on? I am most over the field on Austin Cindric and Bubba Wallace right now. I just like the price range and the spots they're in, and they're kind of direct pivots off of Christopher Bell and Ricky Stenhouse. So those are the 2 I'm trying to get some leverage on. I'm also a little bit overweight on Joey Logano too, because I think people will flock to Blaney starting in the front row, leading laps, and I think you can get Logano a little bit lower ownership, which I like. And they're basically the same super speed driver. Logano just doesn't finish the races like Blaney, but I'm not expecting like a huge wreck fest. So those are just some of the guys off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the numbers again, but to look at my leverage. But I'm definitely overweight on Cindric and Bubba Wallace. Family Man said you said your mom was in the chat, so that's why I said I was stop. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I'm still behind. I forget some things I say. Thoughts on David Reagan? Ask FE. He's usually good, or Rick, I should say. He's usually good in super speedways. Yeah, I can get behind Reagan today. I am overweight on him. He's actually one of those guys I guess I could say I'm overweight on. If I'm projecting around 10% ownership, I have not quite double, but I could certainly get there. Like 15 to 17%, I think is a good number on Reagan today. I know it's not fun in a Rick Ware car, but is what it is. The draft can kind of nullify that a little bit. DD says, Burton drives like he's blind and doesn't have any thumbs. I can't disagree with you there sometimes, but it's the starting spot that's going to get me there. And plus, he's basically the Ford Penske car, and you have to expect they're going to have some speed. I see Bull got me a dono. Let's see. Get Jules a puppy. Oh, of course you had to dono that. CP Mafia needs a mascot. One day, Bullster. One day. But I do appreciate the dono, though. Barrow says, how much randomness? I think going from 20 to 30% today if you're using the optimizer is probably the best way to be. I used 25 last night when I was crunching. Mike says, I feel good about Reagan. He's one of the few back markers I am using. I am the same way. I definitely like Reagan today. Out of all the scrubs, like Reagan and below, he's my... Well, I don't want to count LaJoy as a scrub, so if I remove LaJoy, he's my highest scrub. Honeydew says, do you like Byron? I like Byron to a degree. The problem is starting 12th. Like, it's fine, but it's not, like, exciting. He's just one of those guys where if he doesn't wreck, he's probably going to contend for a top 5, top 6, which is good. But he doesn't have quite the PD as a guy like Truex. But I have, like, around 15% Byron today. Not trying to take a stand there, just kind of even on the field on Byron. Connor says, Burton versus Mcdowell. I currently have more Michael McDowell. I think he's going to be higher owned. I just trust him a little bit more. If this is going to play like a Daytona race, I mean, Michael McDowell's obviously pretty darn good at those. So I'm going to side with McDowell, but both are good plays. But just I like the extra 200 more. And if it came down to cash games, I'd side with McDowell too. Franchise says Toyota's won both races yesterday. That makes you like a Denny Hamlin or Truex more. You can go for it. Bull says, did you ever get Jules that puppy? Just trying to get me in trouble here. No, we did not get the puppy yet. That wouldn't be for quite some time. Philly Man says, LaJoy was top 10 for most of practice. Is he in play at all for you? Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about the practice too much. I know like he was actually running pretty well, slicing and dicing to the field a little bit. I like LaJoy. I mean, he's a good play racer. Usually pretty good at getting good finishes. He's dirt cheap, starting 33rd. I have a decent amount of LaJoy today. Close to 20%, I believe. Mike says, Chris, how do you feel about having Blaney, Elliott, and Logano all in one lineup? I think that's too much, to be honest. I would probably do a max of 2. I just can't see all 3 being optimal unless they finish 1, 2, 3, and some of these PD guys just happen to suck. So I think 3 is a bit too much, but I think 2 you might be able to get away with, but you are still pushing it. Bull says, come on, spread. You and I both know it's a Bubba day. If it's a plate race, I definitely can get behind some Bubba. Randall says, stacking the back with sprinkles of the front to 15th. I'm certainly the same way today. I am the same way. Because you don't want to, like, yeah, place differential is important, but I don't want to, I don't want to, like, completely forget about the guy starting inside the top 15, you know? Sometimes chase, sometimes I don't, because I wanted to leave room for other people, but we'll see. Paul says we gotta do something about that. Arnold says, worked in Xfinity yesterday, 24th with a single bullet in a $10 main contest. Let's get it today. It's pretty good, 24th in the single bullet. But yeah, I feel like we're going to see a similar roster construction to what we saw in trucks and Xfinity yesterday. I don't think it's going to be too far off. Yeah, I know there's more laps, but again, fast laps being completely random. hard to care about dominators too much. Franchise says there's so many directions you can play today. Yeah, there is several strategies you can go with. You can roster guys starting close to the front, mixed in with PD. You can go full on PD. You could go kind of straight up in the middle. I mean, there's many ways you can go, and I can't fault really anybody for going with either strategy. I mean, I think all can make sense today. Cal says, OSU winning today? You mean for March Madness? I have no idea. I pay attention to the first round. My bracket kind of sucks right now, so I haven't really cared as much as I should, but I don't know, who are they playing? I forget. I had them losing to Loyola, so I certainly didn't have them winning whatever game they're in today. Chase says prize picks. Yeah, so some of the prize picks I had last night, I believe I had Blaney over 23 laps led. I'm giving him around 50 today. Might be aggressive, but I could see him staying up front. I had Brett Keselowski over 40.5 points. And where was the other one? Austin Cindric over 32.5. Because for him to get over 32.5 points, we're looking at a top, I believe, 14. Which if Cindric doesn't wreck today, I'd imagine he's going to be close to his Penske teammates. So those were the three I kind of landed on. Eric says best Fanduel plays today. So best Fanduel play is hard to like Keselowski. He's only $7,500 over there. Like, it's super easy to fit him in. Ricky Stenhouse is only $6,500. Kyle Larson's expensive, but you can easily fit him in alongside Denny Hamlin. So there's like four of the guys I'm really on today. Mass says, oh, Mass is on his normal YouTube account this time. What's up, Mass? Pat says number 18 doesn't like the number 22 or anyone else for that matter. Oh yeah, Kyle Busch doesn't like Logano, that's for sure. Sorry, the chat went down again. Family says the cars go way too fast to watch in person at Dega. Couldn't find Chase to save my life, but the experience is like no other. So I know it's way different when you see the cars just fly by in person, because on TV it looks like they're going slow because they're panning the camera with them. But when I see people take like pictures on their phone or videos on their phone, they can't even see the car. So it's like a blur. So I also hear it's very loud. Jeff says only play cash in small single entries. We stack in the back in cash. I don't know what to do. I'm right there with you, but I am stacking the back in cash today. I would not be higher up than a Kyle Larson on 21st in cash personally. Cole Trickle is going to come out of nowhere and win this race. Here we got special tires. You know, the way this race is probably going to go, I wouldn't be surprised. Rob says Reagan is going to top 5. I know it. If Reagan's going to top 5, you should probably bet on that. I think you can get some very good odds there. I believe he is plus 25,000 to win the race, at least last I looked. Derek says, why is it possible super speedway rather than old Atlanta racing? Well, it's not possible super speedway. It is a super speedway now. They completely redid the track. The banking's up to 28 degrees. They repaved it. We're running the super speedway package. We saw pack racing in practice. We saw it with Xfinity. We saw it with trucks. So it is going to be a super speedway, and it's just no longer old Atlanta. If you're looking at old Atlanta numbers, they mean nothing. We're basically at a mini Daytona, but I don't think it's going to be as chaotic, but it's still going to be pack plate racing. Is Mass talking to himself on both accounts? Spread says, Mass, I need you to pick a profile. I think he's talking to himself, having a conversation. However, I am going to look at some puppies. Oh yeah, you are going to see some puppies, aren't you? I forgot. Your happy place. Franchise says 3 wide today. I don't know about 3 wide. If they go 3 wide, we might get some trouble, which I guess I'd be okay with. Helps some of my back guys, but I'm not sure if we're going to see 3 wide. I know if you get out of line, you're going straight to the back, basically, because there's not much room for you to get back in. Wayne says they're calling this race mini Daytona, so are you expecting multiple wrecks? I don't think we're going to see like massive wrecks. If we do, I'm fine with it because my lineups are going to be mainly place differential. I still think place differential is the way to go if there isn't a bunch of wrecks, but we could. I mean, it's hard to know because we've never done this before. Could be wrecks or couldn't be. I mean, at the leader with all the blocking he's going to have to do, just gets turned. We're going to see a huge one. It's just a matter of if how aggressive they're going to be up front, jockeying for position. But at the very end of the race, I would expect to get real racy. Franchise says I can see this getting real pushy, for sure. For sure. I mean, I can definitely see someone up front getting turned and taken out the field. Kevin says, David Reagan feels like a great play today. Finished 8th at Daytona, starting 35th. Yeah, I'm behind Reagan. I think the chat loves David Reagan today. He might be your guys' favorite drivers. Maybe I'm too low in my ownership projections on Reagan. But I got a decent chunk of him. He's definitely my favorite scrub today. Jim says, Keselowski and Truex. Yeah, those are two of my favorite plays today. Just hard not to like them for where they're starting. The prices aren't bad. Only $9,200 for Truex, $8,600 for Keselowski. It's a very easy fit in. Express says, Jules, don't take Chris, bring one back. He won't say no. Oh boy. David says, no chalk for me. I got Ty Dillon, Busher, Bowman, Suarez, Blaney, and Larson. Yeah, the only chalk there you got is Larson. Everything else is, well, Blaney will be over, maybe not over, but right around 20%. But Suarez, Bowman, Busher, Ty Dillon are definitely going to be very low owned. So you can definitely get behind that in tournaments if you're looking for just low ownership. Blake says, all right, just threw my lineup together in about 10 minutes. What do you think? Blaney, Truex, Bubba, Bell, Cindric, single entry, GPP on Fanduel. Oh, Fanduel. Yeah, I like that. Blaney, yep. Yeah, I think it's very good for a Fanduel lineup. We don't DD, but I'm always going to call it a plate race just because it's just what I'm comfortable saying. But I think you guys get the idea. But I'm always going to call it a plate race just because it's what I'm used to. But it's pack racing. UK says, why do I get the same vibe setting my lineups today as I did filling out my March Madness bracket? You know, that's a very good analogy there because you don't know what to expect. In March Madness, you're just kind of closing your eyes and throwing darts, and it's kind of what you're doing today, really. Edwin says, last spot, GPP, Elliott or Logano. Last spot. I think I have more Chase than Logano today, so I would just reference that. Spread drop link. Yeah, if you haven't joined the DraftKings contest yet, make sure you hit the link there. We can fill that up. I'm not sure how many people are in. Let me check. 122. Yeah, if you're just not getting here, make sure you hit the link. Join the contest. Do appreciate the more people that join. Obviously, the bigger contest, or prize money, I should say. Matt says, what do we think of Stewart-Haas racing today? So, a lot of these guys are starting really close to the front, so I don't have much of them. Like Briscoe in the pool, I got about 10%. Like normally, if Briscoe's on the pool at a super speedway, I'm playing 0%. Since it's probably going to be a hybrid mix, I'll play like 10%, but that's about it. Kevin Harvick's fine. I mean, he's actually good at super speedways. The problem is you don't have a ton of PD upside there, but I think he's worth playing at least 10-15% of today. 15% might be a little bit aggressive, but I could see him holding his own and finish top 5. Eric Almirola is a good super speedway driver. The problem is he's starting 10th. Like all these guys are in pretty bad spots. The one guy, Cole Custer, starting in 20th, he's the only one that offers PD upside, and he's just a nice cheap price differential play. Jason says, what's too much to leave on the table in tournaments? 20 lineups. So when I was crunching lineups today, I wasn't noticing much salary left on the table. If I can pull up my optimizer really quick, I'll crunch 20 lineups and I'll let you know the average salary remaining without me doing any settings. So we'll crunch 20 right now. Go to the statistics page. Average salary used is $49,000. So it looks like on average leaving $1,000 on the table in 20 lineups. Just strictly looking at raw projections. MG says, I'm just asking about Almirola. It seems like he's been on fire this year. Yeah, he is actually has the best average finish of all drivers so far in the Cup Series. I believe it's at 7.3. He's been optimal 3 of the 4 races. The starting spot sucks, but if he can finish top 5, which he is a good super speedway driver, he's fine. It's just the problem is getting there because you have Bell right there, you have Cindric, you have Dillon, you have Wallace, and Ricky Stenhouse all in that range. So it's really hard to land on Eric Almirola, especially if you're hand building. Spread says Hunter's our current mascot. Need an upgrade. Yeah, we definitely need an upgrade from Hunter. I haven't been in Discord, but I'm sure he's having a fun time with F1. Rob says Stenhouse or Bell on DraftKings. Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, if pricing doesn't matter, I'm gonna go with Bell. Redneck Crypto says, I keep coming up with a lot of salary left over. Yeah, like I said, I mean, $1,000 average salary remaining on just the optimizer. I could certainly see you using less than that, because you can build a lineup with, you can start with Keselowski, then go Bell, Cindric, Stenhouse, Bubba, Michael McDowell, Burton, and that's a good lineup, and you didn't use anybody over $9,000. Gideon says, DK contest full, Chris? It's not yet. We got plenty of spots. It doesn't have to fill to run, but obviously the more people, the better. Wes says, Logano always hits in the first of its kind races. You know what? That is a good point. He won the Clash, and yeah, I know what you mean. And I'm certainly not against Logano today. I think he's one of the better tournament plays. Dick Trickle and Lake Speed. Jordan says Larson a lock. I wouldn't say he's a lock, but he is currently my second highest owned driver today. So if you're putting one lineup, I'm locking Larson in. Obi says, hey Chris, what's good? What's up, Obi? Hope you're having a good day today. Honeydew says, thoughts in cash with Elliott. Briscoe, LaJoy, Reagan, Blaney, Logano. So that is probably the opposite of what I do in cash personally. I just think you have way too many guys starting up front with fast laps being spread out, and if we're going to be pack racing, you have Elliott in 6th, Briscoe in 1st, Blaney in 2nd, Logano, and it's just too top heavy up top. I mean, it's fine to have a couple, but I think you're just a little bit overboard on that. It's going to look good at the beginning because they're all going to be up front, but by the end of the race, I think some guys get shuffled out. Does something bad always happen to Christopher Bell, or am I just crazy? No, something bad always happens to Christopher Bell, and it's probably going to happen again today, and I'll be sad about it, but on paper is a good play. But yeah, I swear Bell always gets screwed over somehow. Kind of like Ryan Blaney in that aspect. See, Austin says, you guys want get C-Pen a dog, but he's not going to like it when... But we're not going to like it when Jules is at work and C-Pen has to take it for a walk to pee 3 minutes before NBA locks. Yeah, you guys aren't thinking about this. You're just thinking about the cute puppy face. But then we're going to miss lock for NBA. Family Man says, Bowman was very slow in practice. Is that affecting how much you play him today? Do you even like him as a play? I don't care what anyone did in practice, to be honest. Like, doesn't matter to me. Everyone's drafting. It's just you're not going to get many telling signs. Like, if you think... Burton. If you think Cody Ware is going to be the 10th fastest car today from practice, I just don't see that happening. I mean, he could be fine, but I just don't care about these practice numbers. And as far as playing Bowman today, not usually a guy I play at, plate style racing. So $800 starting 11th. He's pretty much the same play as Byron, but I trust Byron a little bit more. I want to say I have less than 10% Bowman, so I'm not playing much at all. Sorry, I lost the chat again. That's something I always lose the chat. And by the way, when I say plate racing, I know they don't do it anymore. It's a tapered spacer, but I've just been so used to saying plate race. It's just, I was hoping everyone knows what I mean when I say that. Gregson and Burton, do you think they could score some big points? They certainly could, starting in the very back. Looking at the heat map here, let's give Gregson a P18. If he did that, we're looking at around 35 points, 37 points, which is fine. He has upside for more, certainly, in a Collie car. Harrison Burton, if he finishes around the same, I'm talking like 40 points. So the floor is certainly there for him. Spread says use taper spacers now, yep. Pugsley says, I'm going with Chase, Joey, Brad, Cindric, Jones, and Haley in tournaments. I like that a lot. I like all those drivers quite a bit. Definitely think you're in a good spot. Mike says, I don't like Bowman today, so that's exactly why I'm playing him. That's also one way to look at it. If you don't like a driver today, I guess there's probably a good chance they'll be a good play because you don't know what to expect. Chase says, I know you wouldn't eat it, but to celebrate my win, I DoorDashed some McDonald's breakfast. It was the bomb. You're right, I wouldn't eat it, but back in the day, I'd get McDonald's breakfast a lot. My mom would bring it to me on like the weekends, and it was very good back then. Very, very good. Good morning, Andrew. Nice to have you here. Do we get a low-owned 18? I am a fan, but really, I don't think he's going to be that low-owned. I have him around close to 20% projected ownership. That honestly feels a bit high, but I can just see people clicking on Kyle Busch's name because they're going to spread out their ownership for the most part. Like Joey Logano's right there. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference in projected ownership. I don't think it's going to be too... I think he's going to be higher than Harvick. It'll be lower owned than Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott, but people are going to play Kyle Busch today. I'm not really on it. I'm going to be a little bit lower owned, but I'm not fading Kyle Busch today because if it races more like an intermediate, more so than a super speedway, I would have wanted more Kyle Busch. And since it's kind of an educated guessing game right now, I just can't fade the guy. Mass says, thoughts on Gragson and Haley? But just fine place differential plays. Gragson will be pretty chalky. Haley, not so much. I think he's a much better tournament play than Gragson would be because we know Haley certainly has the upside. Who's my favorite place differential play? So I would probably say Keselowski when you factor in the price points. And that's on both sides. Philly Man says, I think you've been watching NASCAR Super Speedway races for years and you know who to play today. That's pretty much exactly it. If you're used to playing Daytona Talladega on DraftKings, Fanduel, whatever, it's pretty much the same strategy today with a little bit of a tweak. More so heavier on the guys starting closer to the front than normal, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same thing. Ross Chastain Final Four this year, Chris. I think he is that good. I like Ross Chastain. I don't think he's Final Four good. Maybe sometime in the future, but I mean, I know the upside's there, but I can't see him beating out guys like Larson, Elliott. I guess Blaney's been hot so far this year. William Byron, those kind of guys. But he can definitely make some noise for sure. John says, hey Chris, who is your favorite low-cost option on large field GPP? You're the best. Thank you, John. Low-cost tournament? Yeah, large field tournament option. So we'd have to cross out Mcdowell and Burton because they're going to be pretty chalky. If you don't want to include the 6K range, it's probably David Reagan, to be honest. Todd Gillen, David Reagan. I don't think anyone's playing Gillen today, starting 25th. So I'd say one of those two guys. If you're just looking for lower ownership. Eric says, what does Jules do for work? She works HR over in Naples. She actually just started that about a month ago. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that's what she went to college for, and she got an HR job there. Mike says, Johnny likes Corey and Reagan as the lower ones. Yep, that is true. BVB says, you like Larson today? I certainly do like Larson today. I know he sucks at super speedways, but with this being like a hybrid mix, it's hard not to like Larson starting in 21st. Could have swore I missed something. Maybe not. Nathan says, better play the chalk in the back and play the ownership game towards the front. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make a case for doing either like play the chalky guy starting closer to the front like a Blaney or Chase Elliott, and then getting away from Bell, going to like a Bubba Wallace, or going from a Stenhouse, getting to an Eric Jones. But I would feel more comfortable playing the chalky back guys and getting different up front, just because they're going to be chalky for a reason. They are good plays, and the guys up front are pretty interchangeable for the most part. Spread says, smash that like button. Yeah, if you're just not getting here, hitting the like button really does help me out. Jordan says, thoughts on Bubba. Bubba is one of my favorite tournament plays today. Just very good at super speedways. The odds in Vegas are on par with some guys that I like quite a bit that I think have some pretty high finishing position upside, like Austin Cindric. Bat around where Chase Briscoe is, Kurt Busch, Brett Keselowski. So I think Bubba should definitely have some upside today. He says, get a pet snapping turtle instead. They're much more affectionate than puppies. Yeah, affectionate at biting your fingers off. The sound of 4,500 and something horsepower engines, like no other, will give you chills. I'm sure. Probably have to wear earplugs. Chase says, yeah, I love NASCAR, but I've been to 2 races at Kansas Speedway. I hate it live. Sorry, purists. I like watching sports at home. Yeah, I love going to football games, but I'd much rather sit at home and watch it, where I can just change the channel and get on Twitter at the same time. If it's an island game, I've been to like Thursday night games in Cleveland and Sunday night games, and those are fun because there's nothing else going on. But if it's like 1 p.m., I'd rather be on the couch at home. In NASCAR, you're probably missing half the race unless you bring binoculars. Nate says, if my Formula lineup looks anything like my NASCAR, I better just withdraw. Is F1 going good for anyone that played? I haven't looked. I joined the freight contest. I know what I was doing. I think I captained Verstappen and constructor Red Bull, right? That sounds right. Eric says, with 9K subs plus, Awesemo, you were, that is true. I gotta get that in my head that maybe I do dictate ownership a little bit. I'm not sure how much I sway it, but I'm sure I help set the ownership in the field, so. The Cindric ownership's probably gotten bumped up. What's up, Andre? I have no idea what to do with this today. I made my lineup, and yet I have zero confidence in it. Yeah, that's just how it is today. That's just how it is. We're going to play all these PD guys, and they're just going to be stuck in the back while everybody starting in the top 15 is optimal. Good luck to you as well, Blake. Family Man says, how much is the entry on Chris's contest? It's $3. Top 5 payout. Throw a screenshot of the winners in the next video. So if you want a shout out, there you go. Is starting Chase and Logano a bad move? I mean, it's risky for sure, but I'm going a max of 2 guys starting near the front. Max of 2. I just can't see that being... I can't see more than 2 being optimal. And even then, 2 just feels... It's a little heavy for sure. Philly Man says, BK has been so bad to start this year. I think he's just getting adjusted. He'll have a strong second half of the year, in my opinion. Certainly possible. But with that being said, Super Speedway, I'm all about Keselowski. I mean, he'll probably wreck half the field, but I'd rather have the guy wreck in the field than getting wrecked. So give me all the Keselowski today. Great at the duels, obviously. Great at Daytona. It's hard not to like Kes at a Super Speedway kind of race. Little Hard Nug says, 100% Blaney isn't enough Blaney. Well, I would agree with you most weeks on that because I love Ryan Blaney, but starting second, if it's going to be a kind of race we were expecting, 100% might be a bit much. Mcdowell enjoying cash. I would go with Mcdowell personally. It's close though. It's close. Aaron says, is the chalk hit today? Has it been hitting this season? I mean, it can be hit or miss pretty much like most weeks. Like last weekend, Blaney was the highest, like complete. No, it wasn't the highest owned driver, but he was very chalky and he ended up smashing. And then again, you have Stenhouse's massive chalk and he sucked last week. Well, not sucked, but he wasn't near the optimal lineup. So, yeah, kind of like usual, hit or miss. Trevor says you're going on a ride along at a super speedway. Which driver are you jumping in with? Well, if I want a heart attack, I'm probably going with like a Keselowski and Stenhouse. If I'm just looking to have a good time and stay within the front, I'm probably getting in Blaney's car. Or if I just want to have or if I want to just know I'm not getting wrecked and I'm going to get a top 15 finish, I'll probably ride in the back with Corey LaJoy or Ty Dillon for a while. So it just depends on which mood I'm feeling in. You like Kurt Busch today? I don't think anyone's talked about Kurt Busch. He's just in that weird spot. Like, it's such a weird spot with Ross Chastain, Kurt Busch, Eric Almirola, because like it's really hard to like those guys for where they're starting, and they're going to go completely overlooked. Those are going to be some of the lowest owned drivers in the field today, besides like maybe absolute scrubs. Bull says, anyone need an invite for the contest? Yeah. If you haven't joined the contest yet, you can hit up Bull, you can hit up Spread, hit up my Twitter, join the contest. Mike says, I see one lineup with 6,500 left on the table. Seems a bit much. That's probably a bit much, to be honest. You'd have to tell me it, but it's probably a bit much. Pat says, your opinion, best plate racer in today's race? Ryan Blaney. I think right now he's been the best, for sure. I mean, Hamlin's right up there with him, but Blaney's just been really, really good. 3 wins the past 10 races. He's got like 7 top 10s, I want to say. He's just been very, very good. Blake says, is anyone going to the back this week? I have not gotten any news on that yet. If there is, you can let me know in the chat, but I have not seen anyone going to the rear. But even then, if they go to the rear, I don't really care too much since we're going to be drafting. Eric says that's what I'm trying to do too. Oh, you mean the HR stuff? Burton to the rear? He's already in the rear anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. 1K left over on my first draft. Yeah, I think that's totally fine. Dustin says, Truex or Keselowski in GPP? Price doesn't matter. Let me see my projections. So I have Keselowski 1 point higher than Truex, so it's basically flipping a coin there. I mean, I almost feel better with Truex, but I'll just start with the projections there and go with Keselowski. Who would be an underdog pick? You mean like to win the race or like a sleeper? If it's like okay, one guy we haven't talked about, if we want to call an underdog, like a low-end driver, Austin Dillon, $7,400, starting 17th. He's good at Daytona, Talladega kind of races, and he's good at intermediates. Starting 17th, I don't think anyone's really talked about him. He could be one guy that gets overlooked. I don't think we got a question about him. Don says, I almost missed this today. Happy Sunday, Chris. Appreciate that you're here, Don. Nice to have you. Scott says, how do I find your contest? Pinned comment in the chat, I think at the top, or you can go on my Twitter. Hard Knock says, if Blaney doesn't have pit stops, he would win every race. You're not wrong. Blaney is like fast every single week, and every time we go down pit road, you can just kiss that lead goodbye. Every single time almost. With price not an issue, would you prefer Bowman or Almirola? Oh. Let me check projections because that's got to be very close for me. So I have Bowman a little bit higher than Almirola. It's 2 points, 2.5 points. But I'll go with Bowman. If Bowman doesn't wreck, the problem is he wrecks every single super speed race, it feels like. If he stays clean, I'd like him more. And we can't project wrecks, so just assuming both stay clean, I'll side with Bowman there. Andrew says, thoughts on Gregson on Fanduel? Thank you. So Gregson is $3,500 on Fanduel. I'm not really finding myself having to go super low on Fanduel. I'm assuming you probably just loaded up on these expensive drivers, which is fine. I can get behind some Gregson and Fanduel. I'm not against it. I probably won't have too much though, because the way roster construction was, I really didn't find myself having to go dumpster diving too often. And on my main lineup, I did not go lower than Stenhouse at $6,500. Josh says, Cash, Bell, Larson, Hamlin, Ty Dillon, Keselowski, and Stenhouse. Ty Dillon's going to be pretty low owned. Not that I don't like him, but I feel like he'd be safer with Gregson if you just go with the direct pivot there. But, I mean, it's a fine lineup for sure. Joe says, hey, Chris. What's up, Joe? Any love for Kyle Busch? Not much. I prefer Logano. I prefer Harvick. Busch is a fine pick as like a potential dominator to get off of like a little bit higher on Logano and Blaney, but outside of that, he's basically just me spreading out my ownership up top to guys because I'm not sure exactly who's going to grab the lead early on. But if I'm building a single entry lineup or a 3-max, I'm not getting to Kyle Busch. Albert says, I like your cheap cash options from your breakdown video. I'm going with Bell, McDowell, Stenhouse, and Reagan. Also going with Larson for the PD. Not sure who to go with after that. Hamlin. Let's see. So who don't you have? You have Bell, McDowell, Stenhouse, and Reagan. If you were playing cash, I would try to get some guys like Truex and Brad Keselowski in there. Hamlin's a fringe cash play. Not finding myself going the Hamlin route, but I'm not against it. But I'm more so inclined to play him in tournaments today. Bull says, if it's not oats, baked chicken, or broccoli, Chris is not interested. That is true. That is a heavy part of my diet right there. Mundo says, who have the most dominator points? I have it projected to be Blaney and then Logano. Let me see if I can pull up the dominator points. So top 5 doms I have today projected are Blaney, Logano, Elliott, Hamlin, and then Briscoe. Wayne says, who do you think would have the top place position for each company? Top Ford placement, top Toyota placement, top Chevy. Well, I mean, if I had to pick a Ford, I'm going to go with Blaney. If I had to pick a Toyota, Toyota's kind of, I guess Hamlin. I was considering Kyle Busch, but I think Hamlin's the easy pick there. And if it had to be Chevy, probably Chase Elliott. You're welcome, Obi. Wes says you look different in your Osmo video. So on my stream, I have my own visual settings on OBS and they use something else, so that's probably why. Like I have my saturation different and stuff. So that's probably why I look a little bit different. Chase says, okay, when Blaney over 23.5 lap sled, Cynic over 32.5, Kess over 40.5. Only $20, Flex for 45. NASCAR is not good to me on Prize Picks. It was good for me last year, and then this year I've been struggling because, I don't know, maybe it's the new car, but some of these guys are just... like Byron was hitting all week last week, and then he finished P18 or P19 at the end for some reason. I don't know what happened with Byron. He just died, even though he had a top 3, top 5 car for the majority of the day. So that really sucked. Andre says, Eric Jones okay for cash, leave Sally on the table and go down to Mcdowell or Burton. So I think I know what lineup you have, Andre, and I have the same question myself. I currently have Mcdowell in over Jones. It's very close, but I have the Mcdowell route personally right now. But you can make a case for any of those guys. Go with your gut. Perfect. Keselowski's in my lineup. Awesome. Awesome. I like him quite a bit today. Harry says, my psychic is convinced LaJoie will be the most consequential driver today and will be for titanically good or bad today. Well, I'm hoping he's on the good side today. I have a good amount of LaJoie. Starting 30-30, he's just dirt cheap. It's hard not to like him. Hard not to like him. I like what I saw in practice, too. Jack says, better car, Denny, Kyle, or Chase? I mean, better car is not going to matter much today. It's just how they work in the draft. I mean, if I had to pick who I think is going to finish the best, I would say Chase Elliott. Don says, my one tournament, Blaney, Larson, Logano, Bubba, Haley, LaJoie. I think that's a good tournament lineup. You got 2 guys up front. Risky, yes, but it can certainly pay off. Blaney and Logano are my 2 best dominators right now, and if they finish 1-2, it can certainly work. Mike says, I think people are sleeping on both Dillons today. I'm planning to take advantage of that. Yeah, I don't think anyone's playing Austin Dillon today. Well, a little bit, but no one's really talking him up. And then Ty Dillon's going to get lost in the shuffle at $6,000 starting at 18th because there's not much PD upside there. Mom says Logano for the win. It wouldn't surprise me. We know Joey is great at these types of tracks. By the way, I'm probably going to have to get out of here in a few minutes because the Osmo stream is, what, half hour earlier than normal? Let's see. Spread says I like some Haley today. I do too. Not getting a lot of ownership as well, at least right now. Favorite driver, $6,300 and below. I would say Gregson there. Chase says, and TVs are so advanced we get better angles than live. Yeah, for sure. Like for NASCAR, like I don't know, like it would be a fun experience to go to a race, but if it's not a short track, I'm not really seeing a lot of the race. FE says Max Verstappen is fading. Nate says couldn't agree more on Browns games. Something about the night games. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like the night games and the Browns games are amazing. Bigger says, I bet that you were hyped for the Browns, Chris. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I saw that. I mean, I love Baker. Obviously, I know a lot of people don't like Baker, but as a Browns fan, you appreciate him. At least half of us do. But getting Deshaun Watson's a pretty big deal. I know we gave up the 3 first rounders and $230 million, but we've never had a quarterback like this. So if it's a nice feeling. I love Deshaun Watson as a quarterback. Is Larson a must in cash games today? I'm personally viewing him as a must. He's going to be very high owned, and I'm just going to get the chalk on Larson. Not trying to get weird in cash games. I mean, yeah, you could pivot to Denny Hamlin, but I'll get the extra few spots further back with Larson. He's not that hard to fit in either. Chase says, one of the first weeks all year, I'm only playing cash on any DFS. Is there a reason for that? You just have a lineup you really like today? Or is it just because of the uncertainty? Spread says, one has to think Denny gets back on track today. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good setup for Denny to get back on track. At some point, it's got to happen. At some point. Who do I think wins outright? Oh, gosh. That's an impossible question today. I mean, if I had to pick anybody, I'm probably saying Blaney because I think this sets up perfectly for him. He's good intermediates. He's obviously amazing at super speedways. He's got the best odds in Vegas right now. He's in a good starting position. Like if I had a pick, it's going to be Blaney, but most likely it's going to be someone I'm not expecting. What would it take for Briscoe or Blaney to be optimal? They're going to have to lead a good chunk of laps today, and they're going to have to win. Like, if Blaney doesn't win, he's not optimal. If Briscoe doesn't win, even if Briscoe wins, there's a chance he could be not optimal. So they got to lead some laps today for sure. Chase says, imagine if 21st through 29th gets in a wreck, lap 1 or 2, all of our lineups die. Oh, please don't say that. It reminds me of the one race. What was it, New Hampshire? Where I was like, we were all playing JGR. Then like it was raining. And like lap 1 or 2, they all wrecked. Like every single one of them wrecked. It was awful. Obi says, heart attack for Reagan and Keselowski. Oh yeah, just imagine that. Jordan says, what randomness will you be using? I'm using around 20 to 30% randomness. It's just personal preference there, and I do not change my uniques, although I know some people like to bump it to 2 if they're really trying to make their lineups different. DFS says, David Reagan in your pool? Yes, I like David Reagan quite a bit today. Yeah, Burton to the rear, but he's already back there. It doesn't matter. Sean says, DraftKings DFS is going to make me watch F1 every week now, but NASCAR will remain number 1. Yeah, I wonder how many people are going to continue playing the F1. I know there's going to be some different starting times. I think someone told me they're at 1 a.m. the next week, maybe. I'll be up at 1 a.m., but it's definitely interesting. Kind of feels like an LOL slate. We're starting in the middle of the night. Tita says, just woke up, boss. Please don't fire me. You're on thin ice, Tito. You're on thin ice for sure. We'll have to talk about it after. Best guys, 6,500 and under. Burton, Haley, Gregson, David Reagan, Corey LaJoy. I would not play Kurt Busch in cash. I don't see a reason to do that. Starting in 9th place, he's going to have to pull out a top 4, top 5 to be optimal. And the chances of that, rather than a Christopher Bell limping into a top 15 to be optimal, I think is a lot better for cash games. Sorry, I scrolled all the way down. Chase is doing cash because of uncertainty. I definitely feel it there, and I feel like cash is really easy to land on today. I say that I'll probably just get destroyed, but it's just a really easy cash build on both sites. I'm just worried that it might be too easy, and it's one of those weeks where everyone has the same lineup, and you're winning, but you're like making $13 off of $10, you know. Mad Dog says, Cindric, Keselowski, Larson, McDowell, Truex, Wallace, and Cash. What do you think, Chris? So Cindric and Wallace are more so tournament plays for me. I don't think you need to go there in cash games. Swapping out Wallace and Cindric for guys like Christopher Bell and one of those cheaper PD plays is probably a better way to go. Like, I don't think you mentioned Stenhouse. So yeah, if you move Wallace to Stenhouse and... Oh, you already have Keselowski. Never mind, I'm stupid. But yeah, I think you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. How many laps does Briscoe lead? I gave him... What did I give him? I don't think he leads more than Blaney. I have them both leading laps, but as far as laps led go, I gave Chase Briscoe 27 today. And 9th, 14th place finish, which... The best finish I have for anybody in projections today is 9th. Like I said, I'm being very conservative. Like I have Blaney at 9.5, Logano at 9.6. So 14th isn't as bad as it sounds like, but I just have a hard time seeing him hold off the Penske train, you know? As good as they are at these types of tracks. Adam says bring back race sheets. Oh, like on our streams? Yeah, I like talking with Phil for sure. It's fun bouncing ideas off of each other. Sorry, I scrolled all the way down. I gotta get out of here soon because the Osmo streams a little bit earlier, but let me see. Or am I watching practice on FS1? Well, we had practice yesterday. If there's practice on FS1 right now, it's the rerun. Brian says, in on Austin Dillon. I don't mind Austin Dillon today. I think he's a good tournament play. I don't think No one's really talking about him that I've seen so far. Tevin says, who's my DOMs for today? I'm not really using anybody as a DOM, but I think the most likely candidates are Briscoe, Blaney, Logano, Chase Elliott. Max V dead? I don't think that's good for my lineup. Cut the Check says, is Osimo your projections? No, I don't have anything to do with the Osimo projections. I had nothing to do with those. The only projections I do are the ones on my Patreon. I don't have anything to do with the ownership projections or projections over on the Osimo site. I do an article on Osimo, I do the live stream, but I don't do any of the projection models or anything. That's all over mine. Josh says, can't find the DK contest. I believe it's in the pinned comment. It's on my Twitter. Hit the link. Should take you there. I think it works for me. At 140 people. Jordan says, what rules are you setting for drivers in the top 12? So I would personally put it to 0 to 2. I would not want more than 2, because if you're getting like a Logano, Briscoe, Blaney lineup, I think you're just dead before it starts. So I'll put them all in a group, send them 0 to 2, and I think that's probably the best way to go. Tito says, fading Truex. You're Mr. Truex, Tito. I know you love him. I'm not fading Truex today. Matthew says, who's my top 5 today? You mean like just finishing position? If it's finishing position, I would say Blaney, Elliott, Larson, Hamlin, and throw in Joey. Eric says, thanks, Chris. Don't forget the sunscreen. I wear sunscreen. I know I look burnt, though. I know, I do. I got the sunglass tan. Jim says, Suarez, I am not playing much Suarez today at all. He's in a real tough spot starting 13th. Plus, he's really bad at these. Let's see. Mundo says, thoughts on Bell? Bell is a chalky, good place differential play today, and it's about as simple as I can get it. I mean, there's really nothing that makes him special besides where he's starting today, so. You're welcome, Andre. Who's a great cheap play today, asked Matthew. McDowell, Burton, Gregson. There's like the 3 that stand out to me. If you're talking dirt cheap, Corey LaJoie's $5,300. Pugsley says, so after Chris's comment, I came up with Chase, Truex, Brad, Cindric, AD, and Burton. I think it looks a lot better, Pugsley. A little more balanced, for sure. Spread says, listening to team audio sounded like AD was struggling yesterday. Did he? Let me see something. I thought I remember hearing something like that as well. Yeah, Austin Dillon, 31st in 1 lap, 34th in the 10 lap. Again, don't really care about practice too much, but Adam says we're just not going to talk about this man having no furniture. Well, I don't know what to put in here. It's an office, you know? It's not my bedroom. As long as I have a desk and a chair, I'm good to go. Gary says, is there any spots left? Yeah, we got plenty of spots left. What do I think of Harvick today? Not getting to much Harvick. Like, he's okay. Usually a good finisher at super speedways. Obviously, fine at intermediates. Starting in 8th, though, is the kind of tough spot he's in. I don't think he's as likely to get up front as a guy like Logano, but I have around 10 to 15% Harvick. Tito says, remember that race in the rain, Hamlin, Kyle? Oh, yeah, and Truex, too. Hamlin, I believe it was Hamlin, Truex, Kyle Busch all spun out. I know Truex ended up still racing. I forget if Hamlin and Kyle Busch did. I think Kyle Busch might have been dead. But yeah, that was quite the start. All your guys just immediately dying as the race starts. Spread says 300 people in here. Need 300 likes. Go hit that like button real quick. Yeah, for sure. It'll never be 1-to-1 like that, but the more likes, the better. I do appreciate it. All right, it's 12:42. I gotta get on Osmo at 1:45. So I'll probably have to get out of here. I want to thank everyone for stopping by today. If I didn't answer your question, I'm sorry. I think I almost got to everything, but I might have missed a couple of things. But if you have any more questions, you can hit me up on Twitter. You can Leave a comment down on YouTube if you want to join the Discord, Patreon, all that stuff. You know where to find it. Join the community. It's in the pinned comment there. But I think I gotta get out of here. I'll see you guys next week. And I appreciate everyone stopping by once again.